Okay. So we are back to our sit downs, and I am going to be breaking down my car buying experience in 2023. You guys, if you have not noticed, I have gotten a new car. Miss Mazda has been laid to rest, and I now have a new to me Toyota RAV4, and it is a 2020, I believe. So first and foremost, you guys know I said that I was never going to get an auto loan again. I was going to ride Miss Mazda until the wheels fell off because she was paid off. I was not having to put in anything in regards to an auto loan payment, and basically I lied. So she had about 230,000 miles whenever I gave her away to the dealership, and the reason I decided to get out of Miss Mazda is because she kept breaking down, and it's not a good feeling when you're riding in your car and it feels like your car is literally falling apart, or you're holding your breath whenever you go to start your car in the morning. Like in the winter time, if it got too cold, she was not going to start, especially if it was like snowing or icing. She wasn't going to start, and it got to a point where I was having to call my brother to give me a jump, and I just realized I was needing to call people too often to bring Miss Mazda back to life. So I wound up just using it as a trade-in, because you guys know there's a sales tax that is added on to what the purchase price of a vehicle is whenever you are shopping for new cars, and anything I could do to lower the amount that I would be financing instead of like rolling it into the loan was, you know, even if it was $200-300, it was still something that was going to be knocked off. And so let's get into like the preparation phase for this new car. I just purchased a home, and I know a lot of people say don't purchase a home and a car, you know, back to back. But me, I've always been a sugar backwards. I've always just done things my way, what feels comfortable for me and what works for me. And so I did it a sugar backwards this time. I purchased the car right after I purchased the home. You know, closing was all done. The keys were in my hand, and nothing else could possibly backfire during the underwriting process. And then I went into, you know, getting the car. But my experience in 2023 was not as hellacious as I thought it would be. It was actually kind of smooth. So I decided that I was going to first start with trying to research what cars that I actually wanted. Now, I was dead set on the Mazda because Miss Mazda lasted me 230,000 miles. She probably could have lasted me quite a bit more if I would have kept her. And so to me, Mazda has proved to be, you know, very reliable, and I want a car that I can run into the ground. I want a car that is going to last me 200,000 plus miles, because I want to drive my cars for at least 10 years before I go out and get a new car. And so Mazda was number one after my research, and I did research for 2 months, y'all. I did research on different cars. I would just go to Google and type in most reliable. I would just go to Google and type in the top most reliable vehicles that last the longest, and it came between the Mazda CX-5 and the Toyota RAV4. It did not matter which article I chose. Those two were mostly on that list, and first I decided to go with the Mazda CX-5, and that is because I already had a Mazda. I loved Mazda, so I was kind of set on the Mazda. I liked the style of it. And so Mazda was my number one, and the Toyota RAV4 was, you know, one of the backups. I had like another one too. I don't even remember what it was, but I know it was Toyota and then the Mazda. Now, in addition to figuring out, you know, what type of car that I wanted, I also made a list of my non-negotiables, and it wasn't a quite lengthy list, but I just wanted an SUV because I have kids who play sports, and we were cramped in my sedan. So we were cramped in the Mazda. I knew that we needed an SUV. That was number one. And then number two was something with a lot of trunk space, because once again, my kids play sports, so I needed to put their bats and then all of the other stuff, soccer balls, whatever else, in the back, and be able to fit my groceries back there as well, like lawn chairs, all of that, everything that I would need. I would want to keep it in the trunk. So I wanted trunk space, and I wanted space particularly in the back seat where my kids would be. And so y'all know I was set on the Mazda CX-5. I've already said that. So I went to the dealership first just to talk numbers and just kind of see what they had in stock, because inventory is very, very, very low right now. Inventory is very low, and I just wanted to see the vehicle in person. Yes, I did get hounded. Yes, they were pushing all of the works and perks if you purchased a new vehicle. But what I will truly say is that when you go into this process and you're wanting a pre-owned, like, put your feet and plant them in the ground, like rooted, like a tree's roots, like plant them in the ground, because a lot of people, particularly the salesman, if you're going to a dealership, they are going to try to sway you, and there's certain things that may, like, if you're not really rooted in that decision, it may sway your decision to go with new, like, you know, lower interest rates, and maybe you get longer warranty. I don't even know. I was blocking out everything that they were saying because I knew I wanted pre-owned, because to me, just the amount that the car drops in value as soon as I drove off the lot, it wasn't worth it to me. I knew that I wanted something that was going to keep up with how much I was paying for the car. I didn't want to come upside down again like I had done in the past. And plus, having a new vehicle, it just isn't something that I particularly prefer. I want a pre-owned. Pre-owned is fine. It looks the same as a new vehicle. It was just gonna work, and I was on a budget. So that was number one. So I had the cars that I was wanting to look at, and of course the price points. And anytime I found a link to a car from a local dealership that I liked, I would plug it in a spreadsheet just so I had everything organized. I knew which dealerships that I would be visiting when it was time to press, you know, the green button, and I knew what I would be looking at as far as the costs. And during my research, I did find that the sales tax is 6.2% in my state, and that is something that kind of slipped my mind because I haven't purchased a new car in 10 years. So I felt like, first of all, that is like robbery to me, because they already mark up the price of the cars, and then they're going to add on the sales tax. So right now, let me look and see. Sales tax on a vehicle in Arkansas, 6.5%, and that is whether it is a new or used vehicle. They're going to slap that 6.5% on top of the cost of the car. Now, you can roll it into the loan, or you can pay for it, you know, out of your own pocket to avoid adding interest to that 6.5%. It's just whatever you prefer and whatever is going to work for your budget at the time. But me, knowing me, I was like, absolutely not. I will just pay the sales tax. So let's get into the numbers. Now, obviously, I went with the Toyota RAV4, and the reason for that was because it had more space than the Mazda. It didn't have the luxury feminine feel, which I pretty much don't care about. I just wanted longevity, and the Toyota, it's like nobody is messing with Toyota. From my research, nobody is really messing with Toyota. Their cars run forever, and the RAV4 was one of the makes that I found kept coming up in my research. So when I was going around trying to see who had inventory, because inventory was very scarce, these cars are going like hotcakes right now, there was a lot more on the Toyota side than the Mazda. They basically had no pre-owned and Mazda, but they had a few Toyotas here down at a local dealership down the street from me, and I found one that I was in love with. I didn't want to go over 70,000 miles, and this one was about 65,000 miles when I got into it, which was perfect. The price point was good because the Toyotas, they are a little pricey, so the price point was good, and it had like this interior that I've never seen before, kind of like not quite peanut butter, but like a sandish color, and it kind of looks like, you know, like a little generic, like a bootleg BMW kind of style when they have like the red interior and stuff like that. So I really like that. But anyway, so the price of the car was about $24,000, and I didn't want to finance over $20,000, but I quickly realized that I may have to finance over $20,000 because we know interest rates have gone up, and it slipped my mind that it also affected auto loans, well, the rates of auto loans, and just the way that inventory is right now. I kind of had to let go of just trying to hold on to that $18,000 and breathe through it and know that it was okay if I did have to finance over $20,000. And I decided to finance it instead of purchasing it in cash, or the majority in cash, because I didn't want to wipe out my savings. Once again, I just moved, and furniture and everything was a lot more expensive than I thought it was going to be. And I'm in a good stable place where I can make the payments and it's okay. I am in a season of life where I'm like, you know, not everything has to be about debt freedom and living with nothing that I am owing to anyone. It is okay, ego aside, and as long as you can cover the payments with ease and still keep your lifestyle the same, you're going to survive. It's okay. Debt freedom is not an identity. It is just a stage in life that I have reached once upon a time, but that is no longer the season that I am in. So the total amount that was paid for the car was $25,124. That is the check that was made out to the dealership. And when it comes to how much my down payment was, I gave them $6,500 in cash. And when I say them, I'm talking about a local credit union. I've said in multiple videos that I always recommend going with a credit union for basically any type of loan, because they tend to offer the lowest interest rates. And that's because they are not for profit, so they can roll over their savings into their programs. And so thus offering you lower rates and better benefits. So I wanted to start with a credit union that I was using to refinance my previous auto loan. It was 2.1%. Long are the days of 2.1%, because everywhere that I was looking, they were like 7-8% on these auto loans. And I'm like, absolutely not. Right? So credit is king. I have learned that. I have said that recently, that my perspective on credit has officially changed. Cash is a great credit. You can leverage credit, you know, a lot more than you can cash, in my opinion. So I'm like, I know that I could get a better rate with my credit score. So I kept shopping around, and the lowest rate that I found was at a local credit union that was different than the one I used before. So my interest rate for my auto loan is 5.74. This is after my credit score dropped like 60 points after getting into the house, but it was still a hell of a lot better than what I was seeing like Bank of America and things like that. So I have a 5.74 interest rate on the auto loan, and the amount financed, including the taking out the down payment, is $20,324. So I didn't make the under 20,000 mark, but I came pretty close, so I was satisfied with that. And the amount of my payments, they rounded it to $200 bi-weekly. What's weird with this credit union is that they want the payments broken up in half. So I make 2 payments per month, $200 every 2 weeks that I set up to go to the auto loan. But I find like that is something that I would do anyway, just to kind of break up the interest and to make an additional payment per year instead of just making one payment per month. And the amount that I am going to be paying in interest if I stick to their payment schedule is $3,211.92. And I believe that I have a 5-year loan. So not bad. Only $3,200 in interest is really not bad. I feel like I did a pretty darn good job in this economy right now. And so knowing myself, I'm going to pay the car off early and just throw chunks of money towards it. But it makes me feel like I don't have to rush to get this out of the way because I'm not drowning in interest, if that makes sense. So that is the numbers for actually getting into the vehicle. But once again, there's always something else that comes up, which is the revenue office. You have to register the vehicle about 30 days after you purchased it to get your tags. And since I did not roll over the sales tax into the auto loan, I was paying for it in cash. Part of that $6,500 was going to be used towards getting my my registration. So I paid them about $2,000 at the revenue office. I think it was the revenue office. Yeah, so I paid them about $2,000, which was included in the $6,500 I gave to the credit union that I used to pay for the down payment, and then the sales tax. And in regards to insurance, I also planned for that to increase as well because my car isn't paid off. It is a newer vehicle, so I knew that I would need additional coverage because it's financed as well. And it only went up about $40, which to me, I was excited about because that was something I was a little bit nervous about. So it went up about $40. So I'm breaking that up between paychecks. So $20 here and $20 there. And that pretty much wraps up my experience. It was pretty smooth. They were able to keep the car on hold because they knew that I just purchased the home and I was getting everything together. So the sales rep or salesman helped me out. He set my car back in the back for 2 weeks, guys. Like they can only do it for like 2 days, but I worked my magic and he was able to hold it for me for 2 weeks. And so I gave them a $500 down payment. So I gave them a $500, not down payment, but a deposit. All right, so last thing I want to talk to you guys about is how I am making these payments. So once again, I am owing $200 every 2 weeks or $400 per month for the vehicle. And I will say I am blessed that right now I don't have to use money from my 9 to 5 to pay for the auto loan. So basically my extra income is going to be covering my auto loan as it stands right now. And I say as it stands right now because social media is so up and down. Some months are up, some months are down, but right now the way things are going, everything's down. So I don't plan on it being just YouTube that I'm using to pay for the auto loan. Obviously that is not reliable and I cannot budget around things that are unreliable. So I want to eventually get to a place where my investments are paying for my auto loan. And when I say investments, you guys know I'm purchasing, some of you don't know, I am purchasing a semi truck this year in partnership with my brother. I will be having like a little small part-time job, learning how to dispatch. And also I am wanting to use this home as a rental home, or maybe, who knows, by next year when it's time for me to figure out which way I'm going, I will purchase like a little small home, a fixer-upper, and just use that as a rental home. But either way it goes, I'm starting the real estate portfolio. Obviously I've started it, but really my main thing is bringing in passive income from real estate and other investments. So that is how I am paying for it right now, how I plan to pay for it in the future. And I know I'm gonna have some bumps in the road. I'm gonna hit my head a few times, but I will figure it out like I always have. Hopefully this helped you guys in learning how my experience with purchasing a home and purchasing a car. And I want to say that if you have a car and it's working, girl, ride that thing out until you cannot ride it out anymore. And then when it's time to get your new car, just plan for it. Do your research, know what you want, set your non-negotiables, get your money together, plan for it, and then really enjoy the fruits of your labor. And that is what I am trying to do right now. But I will catch you in the next video.